Okay, so this is the second part of the employer walkthrough for the Simplicity system. So by this stage, you should have registered for your account, set your password, checked your employer profile, checked your account, all in good time before the fair. This video will work from the assumption that you are logging in on the day of the fair and you are ready to go. So if you did need to check anything, again, make sure you go into the employer profile and account to do that. But when you're ready to go, you will come into the fair that you're attending from the right-hand side. So once you are in the actual fair landing page, again, just make sure you go into registration. Everything that all the information that you is in there that you are happy with, and that everybody that might be hosting a one-to-one chat is listed as a representative. If you do notice anyone that isn't in there that should be, please let us know as soon as possible, as we have to make these changes in the back management system. So if you are happy with that and you are ready to speak to the students, you will scroll down here, and where the countdown timer is, there will be a box that says view chats. So this will be where you click to start the student one-to-one chats. Firstly, what you will need to do before you go into here though is just come back into registration and scroll down and open your one-to-one chat meeting room. So in most cases, this will be on Microsoft Teams, as we have made these joining links for you and these rooms for you to use on the day. However, in some cases, I know organizations are using alternative links. So whenever I do mention Teams, if you're not using Teams and an alternative software, please take it as the software that you'll be using. So before you actually start chatting with the students, what you will need to do is come down and find your name in the representative information and open your video chat. Um, this will then take you to the meeting room where you'll be having the one-to-one chats with the students. So for the time being, just leave that open, and make sure that your video is showing and your microphone is working. And for the time being, just leave that running in the background. So once you have that open and you are in there and you are happy that you can access it and your video works, come back up and head to the overview. And then what you will want to do is click in the box here that says view chats. What that will then take you to is, if I just move to my PowerPoint, because the fair isn't live at the moment, so we'll go through some PowerPoint slides of what it will look like. What you will want to do is set your screen up as a half and half split screen, and this is very important to do so. So if you have one screen, please make sure you split it as a half and half screen. If you have two screens, please put your Teams link, your Teams meeting room into the monitor that has your video camera on, and then you can have your Simplicity system open on the other one. It's very important that you have this split screen, so you must do this once you are ready to chat with the students. So once you are set up with your split screen, you click on the View Chats button that we will be able to see just off screen here on the purple. You will then be presented with a screen like this. So for the demonstration, this is just flipped over with Simplicity on the left and the video chat on the right. So when you first come in, this is what you will see with your video chat queue. So this is for facilitating the one-to-one chats, just to reiterate, and the group chats I will go over after the one-to-one chats. So to facilitate the one-to-one chats with the student, you'll come in here. You are likely when you first come in not to see any students in your queue. However, once they do start, you will be able to see them in here. One thing to point out is that here you will have an option to change your status. Now, when you come in for the first time, this will be set offline. And if you are the only person from your organization attending, students will not be able to join your queue until you set this video chat status to online. So that is very, very important. If you haven't got students joining your queue, please do check whether you have changed this to online. The other options that you will be able to change this to is busy. Busy, we would ask you to change it to that if you just have to nip away from your desk for a few minutes. You say you need to go to the toilet or make a drink. Change that to busy, as that will stop students temporarily from joining your queue. However, all the students that are already in your queue will remain in there. So that's just to make sure that you don't get overloaded when you come back. But do make sure you put it back to online when you are back. And the offline function is for when you finish for the day. Please ensure that you set it to offline. Otherwise, students will still be able to join your queue, but there will be nobody there. If you are one of several representatives from organisation joining on the day, obviously still manage it in the same way, but other people will be able to pick up chats, as it's just one queue for all the representatives, and then you pick them up from there. So video chat instructions will be completed for you ahead of the day, with all the relevant links, so that will not need to be worried about unless we do face any technical issues, where as this will be the place where we can provide alternative joining links, but fingers crossed we shouldn't need that, and I will be on hand for support if that's needed on the day. Okay, so you've set your status to online and you are ready to speak to students. As you can see here, Alan is at the top of the queue, and you've got some buttons here that you can choose from. So naturally, to start a chat with Alan, you would click on Start Chat on the left. If you did want to look at his CV beforehand, you can do that. Um, and you might notice as well that Flora is also in the queue. However, her Start Chat button is grayed out. So you can only start a chat with the student at the top of the queue. The only time in which you would not be able the only time in which you'd be able to jump the first person in the queue is if the student had set their status to busy. So just like you have the status on the right hand side here, the students have the same options. So if the student does set their status to busy and reaches the top of the queue in the meantime, they will maintain their place in the queue until they put their status back online. However, whilst they are busy, it enables you to jump them in the queue. So if, for example, Alan was at the top of the queue but wasn't at his desk or laptop, and you cancelled the chat, he would then lose his place in the queue. Um, so when you're ready to chat, you will click on Start Chat for Alan, which will provide you with a screen that looks like this. So as you can see, Alan has entered the chat here, and you get a box where you can make some notes on feedback, whether you would like to pass him on to, say, a different colleague, and some notes about that. So just to note that when you click on the Start Chat button with Alan, that will send an audio and visual notification to his Symplicity platform that gives him a link to join your room. So students obviously will want to join when they get to the top. However, if there is a situation where you have clicked Start Chat and you get to this screen and they don't join after a couple of minutes, do feel free to end the chat and move on to a different student. So assuming everything goes well and the student accepts your offer to chat, they will then enter in the Teams room that you have got, and you can start having a chat with the student. You will notice at the top here that there is a timer. So we have set student one-to-one chats for a limit of 5 minutes. So the chats can be extended. So when you get down to less than a minute, there will be a little queue that comes up to notify you that you are running to the end of your time. You can then choose to extend if you wish, but we do ask that you try not to extend too many times, especially if you are the only representative from your organisation, as that will then have obviously a knock-on effect to the rest of the students in your queue. Um, So once you get to the end of your chat and you've spoken to the student and you have made your notes, everything that you put in these notes here on the left-hand side will be available to you for download at the end of the fair. So please do feel free to make the most of that, as you will be able to get that in a report after the fair for you to make any follow-ups. Once you get to the end of the conversation, it's another important distinction to make is that simplicity facilitates and manages the queue of students and the provision of links to join your room. However, it doesn't have integration with your video conferencing software. So what you will need to do at the end of the chat is click End Chat to submit the notes that you have made for your student, and then ask your student to leave the room of the video chat. It's very important that you ask the student to leave the video chat room, as for the whole time that you have your one-to-one chats, there will be no need for you as the employer to leave your room. You can sit in that room for the entirety of the time you are hosting your one-to-one chats with students entering and leaving. This just makes it a lot easier for you, as obviously you then don't need to click your one-to-one chat link from the representations tab every time you want to have a chat. So when you get towards the end, please do ask the students to leave, and then it's important that you keep your Teams meeting live and you don't end it, because you will then, once finished with one student, be moved back to your queue, which is up here. So in this situation, Alan would be completed and Flora would be next in the queue, so you could start the chat, and the system will kind of just run in the same way as I have just briefly explained here. Um, so that is how the one-to-one chats are managed. As I mentioned, there is one queue. So if there are several representatives from your organization having one-to-one chats, whoever's at the top will just be picked up by the next person. The queue will work that out. So this isn't just for a queue just for you if there are several of you there. If you did want to go back in and look at who you've spoken to because you've forgotten a name or something, you can go into the completed tab, and it will tell you who has spoken to them as well. In terms of joining a group chat, I'm pleased to say that that is a lot more simple. So you will come into the landing page for the fair again, and all you will need to do is, again, back into your registration, scroll all the way down to the bottom where you see group chat, and you will use this link here. For the group chat, it is one link for everybody. So that is yourself, any other colleagues that might be joining you for the presentations and group chats, and also the students. So the presentations will run from at 1 o'clock for roughly 20-25 minutes, and for the rest of the hour you will be in that room for students to drop in to do group chat, and then this will follow again from 2 o'clock, where another presentation starts for 20-25 minutes, and then group chat for the rest of the hour. So from 3 o'clock, no employers should be hosting presentations or group chats, only the one-to-one chats.